Okay. Okay, we are live right now. Okay. Okay, sorry that I started up kind of late today, guys. Here. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay. Hello everyone. Hey guys. I'm really sorry that I started up the stream kind of late today. I just had some really important things to take care of earlier, but you know, we're going to do a nice fun stream right now here. My aunt has passed away. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, Uncle. How do you have my condolences? Uh, hello, hello, Locke and James and Glaze, Jake.
You started the stream, bro?
Yeah, I started this. Do you need an invite? Does your game work?
No, it's still the same error.
It's what?
It's still the same error.
It's still the same error. In that case, then the only thing that's left to do is you're gonna have to delete the game and reinstall it. Is it a disc or a digital?
Digital.
Then just reinstall it. Is it I mean, that's really the only other thing that I can think of. He has that glitch where he can't. It says can't start the app. I probably will get the new Assassin's Creed game, possibly. But yeah, we're still playing it. But I'm sorry to hear about your aunt, uncle. Okay, let's feed the horse. Okay. A GTA 6 clickbaiter made 10 videos in 2 weeks. That doesn't surprise me.
Guy's got a lot of free time on his hands.
When these people make these clickbait videos, when these people make these clickbait videos, I'm always wondering, like, how they think of that. Is it like they're thinking about it the night before? Because the thing about it, I'll tell you, it's impossible to make a GTA Online video every day. It's impossible to do that, guys. It really is. Because GTA Online does not have that much content that you can really make, like, a video, like, every single day on it. At least something unique on it. And that's the thing with these clickbaiters, is they will, like, they'll just waste people's time with just dumb things.
You didn't form the posse.
Oh, I didn't form the posse, I'm sorry. I'll do it right after this, then. Okay, let's
bro,
get over this.
I just got a legendary animal, a legendary buck.
Legendary buck.
Nice.
Donate to your camp, because that'll be like, that'll fill up most of the bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
No, this target is far.
And speaking of bugs, I just got my hunting license. So next week I'm gonna do hunting, or part tomorrow.
Oh, and guys, speaking of which, I think that I think that the Cringe Row, also known as Saints Row 2022, I think that they're releasing their first expansion pack next week, right? Is that it?
They are.
What
May
day?
9th.
May
I
9th?
think it's May 9th. Zom was talking to me about it. They're also doing a huge quality of life update as well.
Well, I'm gonna probably play through Cringe Row again since we did a playthrough of it last time. I'll probably play through the DLC and give my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I was talking to you about that before the stream started. I don't know if you listened to all of it, but what I was saying is the reason Cringe Row is the way it is because those, you know, those cancel culture people, the woke society, and everything else in between that. We can't have a game like Saints Row 2 anymore because society will not let us. That's how bad it's got.
I don't know what somebody would get offended over in Saints Row 2. Like, there's nothing really offensive in Saints Row 2 that I can think of, but I know that
You
people.
underestimate today's society. They will get offended by anything.
I'm aware. I know people would get offended really quickly, but I just don't know exactly what. I can't picture what somebody would get offended over in Saints Row 2.
You never know. You never know.
Well, I'm sure someone there got offended for over a video I just uploaded a while ago.
Oh, I'm sure some of us have uploaded has offended someone somewhere in the world. That's just how society is today. They'll get offended by the littlest things possible.
Like maple syrup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get offended with maple syrup.
Okay, I've gotten really good with this gun.
Alright, I'm gonna restock my stuff while I wait. There we go.
Damn, I can't even see everything out there. Okay. Okay, doing this whole thing with free aim. Okay. Oh, welcome to the home of the Midwest Pro. How are you? Well, thank you, Mr. Waifu. Yeah, I'm back home right now. Thank you for the super chat. Okay. Damn, okay. Damn. Thank you, Logan, for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. Okay. That pretty much it? Yeah. Uncle Howdy, are you still here, man? What? The target escaped, but I literally, I just left him there in that cave. How did he escape? Okay, I'm confused now.
Video game logic.
one time I just knocked out the bounty, and all of a sudden he just walks up like in a few seconds.
Oh, can we start the posse? I'm sorry.
You see the Mr. Wayfield super chat?
Yes, I did earlier. Okay. Can you guys hear me good? Do I sound good and everything?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Can you remove some spots because I cannot join?
Yep, still hear you.
Okay. Is everyone in the session who wanted to get in?
I just joined.
I cannot join because there's too many people in the posse.
Law can be a bit difficult sometimes. Is it possible to get the Naturalist in one day when RP bonuses? Yeah. All you basically would need to do is just get a bunch of collectibles in just one day and just sell it. And you could level up very fast.
Can you make some room in the posse?
It was so funny to see Running with Scissors Postal Devs team making fun of Saints Row like they're... Yes, I actually heard about that the developers, that was it Postal, there's like a video game developer that made fun of the Saints Row reboot. What is the most evil thing the boss player did? The most evil thing the boss did in Saints Row 1 was killing Marshall Winslow. The most evil thing the boss did in Saints Row 2, I'd have to think about it. I don't do 1v1s. I don't really care about that. People could beat me in that, and I could care less. Burying Shogo alive, well, it is kind of messed up, but, you know, he's the one who attacked the funeral in the first place. When I'm saying, like, I'm trying to think of something that he did specifically that was just, like, really, really bad.
You make some room in the posse?
Oh yeah, that was it. When the boss uses the bartender as a shield against the Masako units, the bartender didn't do anything to him. That was horrible. Yeah, that was well, Dane Vogel deserved it. Maybe I'll give Plunder a try, but I like DMZ the most. That's the mode that I like the most in, Okay. Oh, nope. Whoa, what the? Damn. Sometimes these NPCs and these wagons have something really like a collectible on them. That's why I always kill them. Punch Mute, punch Carlos, punch the younger brother, punch the elder brother, punch Shelly, yes or no. I finally finished Deadman on Morphine. Oh, Morphine difficulty. That's the hardest difficulty in Kane and Lynch Deadman. I'll be playing Kane and Lynch 2 soon. Also Mr. Waifu.
Can you make some in the bossy?
Sure, one moment. I'd say like Saints Row 3 more than Saints Row 4.
Feel the heat. Oh.
Oh, no problem. Most evil thing the boss did in Saints Row 3 and 4. I don't think the boss really did that many horrible things in Saints Row 4, but in Saints Row 3, what did he do? He did something bad in Saints Row 3. Maybe causing the zombie outbreak? Oh, that guy who broke Kane's nose. Yes, oh, thank you, Mr. Waifu. You actually kill him in the Havana mission. That's the thing, is a lot of people don't realize that. It was kind of an accident, I guess, but it was still a bad thing. I'm good, Elicio. How are you, man?
I don't know if you want to do this event coming up or not. It's up to you.
There's what?
Event coming up.
What event?
Fool's Gold.
In how long?
7.
I'll probably skip and maybe do a little bit later. Hey, Professional, will you consider playing Assassin's Creed Ezio Trilogy? And are there more games you are playing this year? I enjoyed the Sopranos game. Thank you. I will be doing Kane and Lynch. Kane and Lynch. Yeah. I will be doing Kane and Lynch 2 later this month. That we'll be doing. I played Jedi Fallen Order like a few years ago. I might play Survivor when I get the chance. Did you hear Square Enix is working on Just Cause 5? Just Cause 5 possibly. They always released on Decembers. They always release the Just Cause games like right near Christmas times. Witness. Okay. Okay, there we go. No more Witness. I hope another Witness. Great. These witnesses. Oh my god, another witness. Great, there's too many witnesses. Okay, time to leave. You'll have to reinstall Red Dead then, WRV, to fix that issue. Oh, what?
Yeah.
Great, got more lawmen after me here now.
It's halfway done.
For Honor story mode. Maybe one day, but I wasn't that big of a fan of For Honor, honestly. I was a much bigger fan of Mountain Blade Bannerlord, if you know that game. Are live streams monetized? Yes, but my live streams don't have ads playing in between them. They have them after the stream is uploaded, they'll have ads in between, but live one itself, there's only the ad at the beginning. And I used to have ads in the middle of the streams, but a lot of people complained about that, and so I decided to just, you know, stop putting ads in the middle of the streams and just have one ad at the start and one ad at the end. I keep seeing Twitter is getting much worse. Oh, thank you, Victor, for the super chat. I mean, Twitter is the most toxic form of social media. People on Twitter can be real idiots. I've seen some really dumb things people say on Twitter. You know what? I'm gonna go to my Moonshine. Check up on that, because I haven't been at that place in some time. An Amazon driver had his delivery packages stolen. He chased down the thief, and what happened next, Phoenix?
Oh, we should do some bounty missions as well.
Is perfect. We can ship it whenever. I have some ideas.
Oh, okay. My Moonshine is ready. Also, I got an 80 as my final grade in economics course. I was doing rather crap in, and I'm so proud of this mark despite all the adversity. Well, thank you, Mr. Waifu. Well, 80 is definitely a good grade. The courses that I always struggled in when I was in school, I actually did good in economics. I did, but the course that I actually did terrible in was math. Math, I was never my strongest subject. Thank you, Marcus, for the super chat.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of math. Like, I really don't like it.
Now, we have a batch ready for shipment, okay? I can trust you. I know. You are not like the rest.
What I'll tell you is that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and everyone is good at something and bad at something. It happens. But when I was in high school, I was a bit jealous of some of the kids that like played sports. How I wasn't as athletic as them, like some of the professional players in my high school. But I'll tell you though, even though those kids were good at playing sports, do you know what they were terrible at? And they always asked my help They always asked my help with history stuff, because they were just terrible at history class, absolutely terrible at it. So I realized then that everyone's good at something, and you know, terrible at something else. Oh wow, $100 donation from Carter. Thank you, Carter. That is the largest donation that I've gotten in some time. Thank you, Carter. I do really appreciate it. Thank you, man. Carter did us. What do you think Red Dead Redemption 3 and GTA 6 will be about, and what time? I think that Red Dead Redemption 3, I think they're gonna end the whole, you know, Dutch storyline, you know, because the Dutch storyline was pretty much in both Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. I think that's pretty much ending it. I think that Red Dead Redemption 3 is probably going to be a whole brand new set of characters. And Red Dead Redemption 3, I could imagine is probably going to take place with Jack Marston. That's what I probably think is going to happen. I think Jack Marston is either going to be the protagonist or he's going to appear in it. It's going to take place during Jack's time. So, like, it's going to be right at the end of the Wild West, pretty much the end of it. It's going to be probably, like, during World War I and such, like, around that time. That's probably what I think. If I was Rockstar, that's probably what I would do as like, the next Red Dead game set right around that time. So, let me see here. Hey, Pro, what's the next game after Sopranos and Crime Boss? Kane and Lynch 2 and Hitman Freelancer. But thank you so much, Carter. Thank you for that super chat. I do really appreciate it. It's the largest super chat that I've gotten in a very long time. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, man. What celebrity do I hate the most? What celebrity do I can't stand the most? I don't say that I really hate anyone, but there are people I heavily dislike. Celebrities that I dislike would either be Alec Baldwin, John Cena, or LeBron James. Yeah, I don't like any of those guys.
Yeah, I really don't like LeBron James. I really don't like.
For people that want to know why I don't like LeBron James, the reason I don't like LeBron James is because LeBron James basically defended the Chinese government when there was a protest that were going on in Hong Kong. The reason I don't like John Cena is because John Cena made a public apology video to the Chinese government after he called Taiwan a country. And the reason that I don't like Alec Baldwin is because Alec Baldwin, I didn't like Alec Baldwin before, you know, that whole tragedy happened, and I hated it, or I should say I dislike him. I shouldn't even use the word hate, but I heavily dislike some people. And so for Alec Baldwin, I just really, really disliked him even more after that tragedy. But the thing with Alec Baldwin is that I always got the vibe from Alec Baldwin that he was an elitist. He was an elitist who always thought that he was better and smarter than everyone else. And that's just what I never liked about him. And then you had that horrible thing that happened. I still can't believe that he got off with that. I cannot believe that they dropped all charges against him. Well, he killed a woman. He killed one of the producers on the set, and he also shot the director. The bullet went through her and hit him. But the gun. One person asked me what happened with the gun. The thing is, though, is that here's what I don't understand about the story personally. You know, I'm not one to get into conspiracies or anything like that. But that revolver that Alec Baldwin used specifically, he claimed that he never pulled the trigger. That's what he said. He claimed he never pulled the trigger and the revolver went off. And what happened is there were so many hundreds of gun experts who have tested that revolver. That revolver cannot go off under any circumstances unless the trigger is pulled. The hammer has to be cocked back, the gun has to be loaded, obviously, and the trigger has to be pulled. So the hammer was cocked back and the trigger went off. And Alec Baldwin claimed that he never pulled the trigger. But here's the thing about this, is like a year later, like a year and a half later, all of a sudden when the charges were dropped against Alec Baldwin, now they're saying the gun was faulty. And so it's just, I don't even know what's going on anymore at this point. It's, but what I'll say about that is that I have gotten into a lot of arguments with people who defend Alec Baldwin. And they say, oh, it's not Alec Baldwin's fault, he shouldn't be charged. Here's the thing about this, is rule number 1 of gun safety. You only point the gun at a target that you're intending to fire at something. That's the only place you point a loaded gun. You point it at some place that you're intending to fire it. And you treat a gun as it's loaded if you don't know if it's loaded or not. You check the gun yourself. So some people will say that he's an actor. It's not his responsibility to check the firearms or anything like that. But here's what people don't understand specifically about that, is that whenever you watch movies with guns, most of the time, the guns that they use in the movies are real guns. That's what people don't understand. Oftentimes they are real guns that you see in those movies. They're not prop guns, they're real guns a lot of times in movies. And they either fire blanks or they like create CGI effects to make it seem like the gun is going off. Now you're probably wondering to yourself, why do so many movies use real guns for scenes? Wouldn't it just make more sense to use prop guns? The reason they use real guns instead of prop guns a lot of times is because it's cheaper. That's the reason. Why? Because think about it this way: if there's a gun that you're going to be using in a movie, and that gun is widely available, it's mass-produced, because guns, the reason that a gun would be more expensive than another gun is if it was mass-produced. That's probably the main reason. If a gun is mass-produced and there's a lot of those guns out there, then it's not actually going to be that expensive. But if there's very little of those guns out there, then it's going to be more expensive. And so oftentimes, the guns that you see in movies, oftentimes, the one that's real is AK-47s. Whenever you see an AK-47 in movies, oftentimes it's a real AK-47. Because it's the fact that the AK-47 is the most mass-produced assault rifle in history. And so there's just so many of them out there. So it's actually cheaper. It's cheaper to use a real gun in a movie than it is to use a prop gun. Because if you can get an... AKs are mass-produced. There's millions and millions of them out there. When it comes to prop guns, prop gun would be basically making a whole brand new AK-47 that's not functional, and so that would actually be more expensive than actually having a real AK. If you ever watched that movie Lord of War, you know, the movie where Nicolas Cage plays that Ukrainian arms dealer, when he goes into that big Soviet armory, all of those guns are real, all of them. Because it was cheaper to get real guns instead of to get use prop guns. So the point that I'm getting at when I'm saying all of this is that Alec Baldwin is not some new actor. He's been in the movie business for decades. He has starred in so many movies. And there is no question in my mind, he has definitely fired guns in real life. Definitely. With all the movies that he's been in, he's definitely handled real firearms before. He definitely has. So he should know basic firearm safety, and he should know you check every firearm. Even if somebody tells you that the firearm is loaded, you check every firearm. And so that's why I don't think that he should have got out of that personally. That's just my whole viewpoint on it. And I think that it's just elitism into this. I think that's pretty much it. And I think that people that defend Alec Baldwin, I think that they don't look at the facts of the case. They don't look at what happened, and instead they just look at it. They see it's their favorite actor, and they think that they're not guilty because of that. It's somebody that they like, and there's like a personal bias that has taken over there. That's just, you know, my whole viewpoint on it. Like, there's a lot of people that don't know. Alec Baldwin also skipped safety meetings. He skipped a gun course. He didn't take a gun course. He skipped a gun course. He skipped safety meetings. So that's, and there was, that same day that the tragedy happened, staff actually walked off the movie set, to protest Alec Baldwin. So that was, so people don't know about that, and then they say, oh, it wasn't his fault, what happened? So that's, so I personally think he should have gone to court, let the jury decide whether he was guilty or not guilty, but just for the cases to be thrown out like that, that's, no. You know, that's just, personally for me, it's just ridiculous. That's just my whole viewpoint on it. It saddens me that a YouTuber, Illuminati, that I was subscribed to for 4 years, was revealed to be a nasty, narcissistic content creator. Oh, I don't know that guy. But what did he do, Victor?
Oh, bro, I have a moonshine ready.
Is it true that Korean War vets served in Vietnam? Some did. If they were young, they did. But the Korean War vets that served in the Vietnam, probably, a lot of them probably volunteered afterwards, because they'd be, how old would they be after that? They'd probably be in their, if they were like in their 20s when they served in Korea, they would probably be in their mid-30s by the time of the Vietnam War. So that's, so they probably volunteered at that point. But what a lot of people don't understand is that World War II veterans, a lot of World War II veterans fought in the Korean War. A lot of people don't know that. And imagine how much that sucks. That, you know, you went through World War II, you know, fighting, you know, the Nazis and fighting the Japanese, to now you're going to another war 5 years later. Really horrible war, and you're fighting against North Korea and China now. So that's how have your workouts been? Well, I haven't been to the gym in like a week. So I have to go. I just got back to where I'm, you know, my apartment here, so I'm gonna be going to do a workout, probably tomorrow. Tonight I'm probably too exhausted, but tomorrow earlier after I have breakfast, I'll probably go and do a workout. Remember, kids, don't meet your heroes ever. Yeah, I think people will be a lot of times disappointed in their heroes. Truman, am I right? Well, President Truman was the one who was involved in the Korean War. Yes, that's true.
Oh, I did not know that.
But here's the thing about it is that the Korean War was one of the worst wars that was ever in American history. It's one of the worst wars that ever happened, too. The Korean War was a very, very big war. Very, very big war. You could even argue that it was bigger than the Vietnam War. The Korean War lasted less than the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, technically, I guess you could argue, lasted for 20 years. If you count the French involvement in Indochina before the U.S. even got involved. But the Korean War lasted for 3 years. But in that time frame when the Korean War was actually happening, Seoul, the capital of South Korea, actually changed sides 3 times in that war. That's how insane that war was. So North Korea invaded South Korea, and they took over like 95% of South Korea. Like South Korea was almost completely taken over. It was like a small little patch that wasn't taken over. The U.S. landed and then pushed them back. It was the most of the troops in the Korean War were Americans, but there was a United Nations effort too. So there was a lot of other countries that were sending over soldiers, and so they the UN forces had pushed the North Koreans back. They pushed them back across the border. But the thing that happened is that General MacArthur, the same general that was in World War II, was in charge of the offensive. And what happened was General MacArthur kind of diverted from his original mission, because his original mission was to push the North Koreans out of South Korea. But he didn't do that. He pushed the North Koreans out of South Korea, and then he pushed into North Korea and invaded North Korea. And he actually took Pyongyang, so he took the capital of North Korea. And what actually happened was the North Koreans kept retreating, and MacArthur kept pushing and pushing. And he got really close to the Chinese border. And what happened was the Chinese basically started threatening the U.S. at that point, saying to stop getting so close to the border. But MacArthur kept pushing and pushing, and then the Chinese sent over like 1 million to 2 million soldiers and just completely overran the U.S. So we went to war with China in the Korean War. A lot of people don't know that. And literally the Americans got pushed back. We literally got pushed out of North Korea. We got overrun. The Chinese just sent everything at us. And we got pushed all the way down, and we lost Seoul. And the Chinese actually took Seoul from us. So Seoul was taken a second time. And then we launched another offensive, and we took Seoul back from the Chinese, and we pushed the Chinese back and the North Koreans back to where the 38th parallel is. And that's where the Korean War ended. And so that was it. So South Korea got a chunk of North Korea in that war, but North Korea also got a chunk of South Korea in that war. North Korea actually took Kaesong, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Kaesong is a city that's in North Korea that was part of South Korea before the war. So that was so. And what a lot of the craziest thing about the Korean War, guys, is that people don't know that the Korean War never ended. That's what people don't know. It's technically still going on, because the Korean War had no peace treaty. There was never any kind of peace treaty signed. Never. It really never ended. There was I think like a few years ago, I think they finally actually ended it. I think they did a few years ago. I think they finally signed something, which finally it came to an end. But they never had a peace treaty. It was just a ceasefire. A ceasefire that never ended. That's pretty much what had happened with the Korean War. And the Korean War almost basically started World War III. That's what it did. Because what actually happened was when China invaded North Korea and then pushed the U.S. all the way back into South Korea, what happened at that point is Truman was furious. The president at the time, he was furious, and what happened was he had summoned MacArthur to Wake Island. So Wake Island was an island that's in the Pacific. It was an American island. A lot of people know it from Battlefield, but it's a real island. And he summoned MacArthur. Truman flew to Wake Island. He summoned MacArthur to Wake Island and had him explain the situation to him. I mean, Truman was basically like, what the hell is going on? And MacArthur basically explained to him that they've been overrun by the Chinese. And do you know what MacArthur's solution was to defeating the Chinese? His solution was to drop atomic bombs all over China. That was literally his solution. That's how they defeat China. He just said, drop atomic bombs all over China. And Truman at that point basically said, no, hell no, we're not doing this. You've lost your mind. And Truman just fired him. So he fired MacArthur. I forget who MacArthur's replacement was, but the U.S. then eventually pushed the Chinese out of South Korea, and basically the war ended in a ceasefire at the 38th parallel. So that's
I was told MacArthur got hit by his own truck or something and died.
I don't know how MacArthur died, but I do know that was his solution to end the Korean War. It was to drop atomic bombs over China. But imagine if he actually did that. Imagine how horrible that would have been, and that would have changed history forever. So that was just that.
So what do you think of Fast 10 trailer?
What I think of what?
The new Fast and the Furious movie.
There's a new Fast and Furious, of
Fast
course
10.
there is. What is it now? You know, more fighter jets, more nuclear submarines, something stupid again.
Something like that, yeah.
Something
And
like
some,
that, yeah.
and they have those Batmobile. drones
Honestly,
on the top.
that movie has gotten so stupid. The Fast and Furious movies are just terrible now. I just don't like them anymore. They're so stupid. Like the last
It used to be
good
about cars.
the last good Fast and Furious movie that I actually liked. The last one that I actually liked was the one that was in Brazil. That one I actually liked. I forget. Was that the fifth one? I think that was the fifth one with the Brazil one. When they took like the
Well,
bank
this
vault,
one
the
right
bank
here
vault, and they
was
were
based-
just, but like after that, it just got so stupid. It was just like fighter jets and like tanks and just, you know, all this futuristic stuff. It was just so dumb. Like I didn't like it. It was really, really stupid what they did personally.
Well, I heard rumors that this one is based on right after the fifth one, because at the fifth one there's a little clip shows the fifth one.
Yeah, I'm still not gonna watch. I don't know why people, those Fast and Furious fan base are hyped up about it, which I still understand.
Yeah, the enemy on the 10th one is actually one of the people that is in Fast 5. One in the cars.
Yeah, but speaking of that thing with you know, MacArthur wanted to nuke China during the Korean War. You know, there was actually an insane war that nobody ever talks about, which was the Sino-Soviet War. People don't know about that. So the Soviet Union and China actually had their own war in the 60s. People don't know about that. It was over a dispute. It was over some land that both countries were disputing. And so even though both countries were communist countries, both, you know, communist Soviet Union and communist China hated each other. And what actually happened was, when the Soviets were so angry at the Chinese, that what they did was they actually called the U.S. So they had like an emergency line where they could call the U.S. And do you know what the Soviets said to the American government? They said to the American government, they said, if we decide to drop atomic bombs all over China, don't get involved. That's basically what the Soviets had told the U.S. They basically the Soviets were planning on nuking China, and they basically told the U.S., if we decide to drop atomic bombs all over China, you don't get involved. And do you know what the American response to that was? The American response to that was, okay. That was basically what the American response was. It sounds kind of messed up, but that was what the American response was, because the Americans, how they were basically looking at this is they didn't care. They were actually kind of happy it was happening, because both communist China and both communist Soviet Union were destroying each other. And so the Americans were actually happy about that. So that was basically their the Americans' viewpoint on that whole conflict. But just look that up. Look that up. Soviet Union plan to nuke China. You'll be able to find that. It was a pretty crazy thing that happened during the Cold War.
I did not know that.
Imagine if that actually happened. It would be basically Mandalore all over again.
Okay, I know where this target spawns a lot of times. So I'm gonna go to all the locations he spawns in. Sometimes he spawns back here behind these houses. Nope, he's not here either. Okay. The barn. He could be at the barn. Oh, is he at the barn? Which war did Nico fight in the Bosnian War? How's the videos doing so far? I actually have another lore video coming out on GTA 4 this weekend, guys. So either tomorrow or Sunday I got another lore video. But the lore video is actually going to be kind of funny. It's not going to be a long lore video. It's probably going to be like 10 minutes long. But it's going to be explaining something that people don't know about the story. So if you like my last GTA 4 lore video, you'll like this one. It's coming out in a few days. Can you speak
When is
Vietnamese? No,
Pegorino coming
I
out?
can't. Thank you, Kenny Giro. Pegorino, the Pegorino lore video I will have sometime this year, because I know a lot of people have been requesting that. My camera's like going crazy right now. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Camera's fixed.
Not sure there's much point in these petty raids. Most people have on them is dirt, teeth, and dry spit.
Oh, Brandon, you got it?
I'm still here. Can't pick them up. I'm calling them.
You can't pick him up?
What do I
he
think
like
about
features?
the what trail? The what trail, Carter? Can you explain a little bit more?
There we go.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll play
let's-
Red Dead Revolver one day on this channel.
he just glitched. Here, I'll still on your horse.
Should be let you put it on it.
There we go. It just glitched.
Chinese government always enters the Philippines waters. Yes, but China doesn't just violate the Philippines sovereignty. They also violate the sovereignty of Vietnam. They violate the sovereignty of Taiwan. They violate the sovereignty of, there's another country, Thailand, I think it is too. So there's a few countries that they violate the sovereignty of in that specific region.
I'll wriggle out of this when I'm too.
What time should I deliver him?
Wait like a minute here before you deliver him. Maybe I'll consider playing the Wolfenstein games one day. Wait, Carter, are you still here? Can you explain what you meant earlier? Get those daily challenges done? Whoa.
What happened?
Okay.
What's going on?
Okay.
Jeez, I think my character's kind of glitched.
Wait, what happened?
Speaking
I
of...
kind of got my through the last show, but with the last show, it's not on my screen. It's showing me Dynamite.
Speaking of this, one guy was saying, was Truman a good president in your opinion? I would say yeah. I would say for the most part Truman was a decent president. Truman, the thing about Truman is Truman was a very straightforward guy. Basically, if Truman felt that you were an idiot, he'd tell you to your face that you were an idiot. That's the type of person that was Truman's personality. So, Truman was that kind of guy that if you invited him to your house for dinner, he would... Brandon, Brandon, let me just tell this story just one moment. Truman is that kind of guy that if you invited him to your house for dinner, he would take off his shoes, he would thank you for, inviting him to your house, and he'd eat dinner. And he would either give you one of two responses. He would either tell you that your cooking was great, or he would tell you that your cooking sucks. That's the type of person that Truman was. Now, he's brutally honest, and he's not doing that specifically to be rude, but he doesn't hide anything. So if he thinks that somebody's an idiot or he thinks something is bad, he's going to say it outright. And so that's the type of guy that he was. He would just, that was his personality. Basically, what happened was, if you guys know who Molotov was the foreign minister of the Soviet Union. And what actually happened to Molotov was Truman cursed him out. So Truman actually cursed out the foreign minister of the Soviet. Like I don't know exactly what he said, but he used a lot of really foul language. Like he really cursed him out bad. And what happened was Molotov said that in my entire life of being a diplomat, I have never had anybody disrespect me or treat me like this before. And Truman said to him that if you don't want people treating you like this, then keep your goddamn promises. That's what he said specifically to him. Because the Soviets had basically broken all of the promises that they had in Eastern Europe, because the Soviets promised that they'd respect free elections in Poland, free elections in Hungary, in Czechoslovakia, and they didn't. They lied about everything. And that's what Truman was pissed about. He said, if you don't want me to curse at you, then you keep your damn promises. But that was pretty much it. So Truman cursing the Soviet foreign minister out was justified. So that was it. So I don't think any other president would have had really the guts to say that to the Soviet foreign minister, but he did. So I think for the most part he was a decent president. He knew what he was doing. Interesting thing about Truman, I'll say, about him, is Truman not only was he brutally honest, but he also had no fear. Truman was not scared of anything. Nothing scared him. And the reason is because when Truman would actually walk out of the White House, He would actually walk out of the White House and he would walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. He would actually do that. And so he would walk like a regular civilian. Just imagine the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, just walking down the streets of just like a city, like nothing. And he didn't even have any bodyguards, for people wondering. He had no bodyguards. He had nobody with him. This is when he was the president, when he was serving as the president. And he didn't want bodyguards following him around. He felt like they violated his privacy. So he wanted to be able to go about his business, walk around the city, and he didn't want anybody to, to follow him or anything like that. And so he would have a schedule where he would go to, like, a convenience store, like, every other day, and he would order the same sandwich. So imagine the president of the United States coming into your store and just ordering a sandwich and just leaving and going back. So that's literally what kind of person he was. He wasn't scared of anything. And for people wondering, the Secret Service still followed him. He didn't know about that, but they followed him. They pretended to be like regular civilians, and they would just hide at a distance. And what the Secret Service would also do is they would rig the traffic lights. So they would rig the traffic lights so whenever he's approaching the crosswalk, it would allow him to cross instantly because they didn't want him to stay in one place for too long. So they just wanted him to keep moving constantly. So that was it. So look that up, that he walked around by himself. It was, like I said, Truman was a pretty interesting figure, and I think he did do a decent job as president for the most part. Let's see. Yeah, you can't really have the president of the United States walking down the streets like that anymore today, especially by themselves.
Bro, not gonna lie, I learned a lot from you of history.
I'm gonna get going now.
Okay, I'll see you.
Later.
Take care, man.
No, I was just saying, like, I think my coast is kind of glitched because I keep, give me the white stuff, but I dismantled and called back, and it's perfectly now.
Do you use your controller as a mic? Sometimes I do, not always. Hi, do you remember me? I think so, Jack. Can you, I think your name sounds familiar. I'm sorry, there's just so many people that come to my chats. It's just hard to me to keep track of everyone. Am I gonna start a Discord? I used to have one, but I don't really use it anymore, Carter.
Hey, Pro, I have a moonshine ready.
Oh, we could sell that in a little bit here. Let's see here. But, oh yeah, there was, do you know that the US and the Soviet Union and China formed a secret pact in Metal Gear Solid? They were known as the Philosophers. They lasted through the 2 World Wars until they disbanded after World War II. Oh, that was the story Metal Gear Solid. Okay. Do you think the US should have a large army? My personal viewpoint of this is, I think the military has gotten too big. I think it is. My personal viewpoint on this is I just don't like, all these military bases in other countries. I think that, I'm not against having a strong military, but I think at times we spend too much on the military. We spend more in the military than, most other countries, even percentage-wise. So it's, that's just what I'll say about that. The thing about it is that should the U.S. draft people in general? No, absolutely not. Let's go to your moonshine business. We'll help you with that. Let me see. Here, who needs help selling?
Me, General.
Okay. I'll join your posse right now.
Alright, it should be open.
No, no, well, the thing about this is here's what people don't understand really about this is that if you don't support, you know, America like getting involved in other countries' affairs, that's not really isolationist. You know, that's not isolationism. Isolationism is like people use the wrong term all the time. There is only one isolationist country on this entire planet. Only one. Let me invite me to your posse, by the way, General. There's only one isolationist country on this entire planet. Only one. Does anybody know what that isolationist country is? The only one.
Yeah, I said your invite. Your says you're in.
Darth Baby Yoda, was it?
Okay.
It's North Korea, yes. See, Darth Baby Yoda's... I don't think you're appearing online. Appear online and I can invite you. North Korea is an isolationist country. Isolationism is basically when you completely close your country off from the outside world. Meaning you don't trade with other countries, you don't negotiate with other countries, you don't even let people enter your country. And the only country in the world that is like that is North Korea. North Korea has completely locked themselves off from the rest of the world. They do a little bit of trading with some countries, mostly China, but it's very little. So basically, not wanting like America to get involved in like you know, foreign affairs, that's called non-interventionalism. That's not isolationism. That's very different. You know, America, you know, trading with other countries and helping other countries out, I think that's perfectly fine. I think the problem is interventionism. I think the problem is when you have like, you know, when you get involved in other countries' affairs and sometimes you make it worse. You know, perfect example of that is the Iraq War. You know, was that really necessary? I don't think so. So there's like, that's a perfect example of how interventionism goes wrong. From space, North Korea is nearly a black spot. Yes, that's true, because there's very few lights. That's true. You're right on that. I'm in your posse right now, right, General? Yes, okay.
Yeah. All flavors.
Well, the thing about the drafting, the draft in the Vietnam War. The draft in the Vietnam War was it was racist, and not only was it racist, it also discriminated based on class. So it didn't just discriminate based on race, but also discriminated based on class. If you were a poor person, you were much more likely to actually get drafted than if you were a rich person. And also, if you were African American, for example, you were much more likely to get drafted than if you were white. So there's those things about the Vietnam War draft a lot of people don't know about. The in the Vietnam War draft, if you went to college, you were exempt from the draft. Why? So basically, what the military is basically doing is they're saying, oh, the people that are going to college, they're important, but the people that aren't going to college, they're not important. Let's just draft them. That you can't do something like that. That's discrimination. And that's you know what happened with the Vietnam War draft. It's horrible. And you know the thing about that is the Vietnam War draft was really the only draft except the World War I draft where there was protests over it. World War I and the World War I and the Vietnam War were the wars that had the most draft protests. World War II, there was virtually no draft protests, none. Because the public supported largely getting involved in World War II, because World War II we had to get involved because it was Japan had attacked us, and also, you know, Germany was trying to take over, you know, Europe, and they were, you know, mass murdering millions of people, so we had to get involved. So people were perfectly fine with the draft then, but like when it comes to like the war in like the Vietnam was a war that you didn't need to draft anybody for something like that. You didn't need to force people, and like, you know, how stupid is it that you get drafted and like sent like all the way on the other side of the world for like a conflict that you don't know anything really about. And that's what do you think of Woodrow Wilson? I think he was one of the worst American presidents of all time. Japan used to do the same thing, but we forced to trade with us. The thing, yeah, Japan was an isolationist country, and we forced Japan to trade with us. That is true. But do you know something? do you know that America actually helped modernize Japan's military? A lot of people don't know about that. Because you could actually make the argument that America actually saved Japan from being a colony. Because if Japan had actually kept its isolationist, like, stance and never took any new technology, never learned any, modern military tactics, they would have gotten taken over. Because if you look at Asia, every single country in Asia was either a colony or they were like a kind of like a puppet state, like China. China was technically its own country, but it was a puppet state controlled by various empires. Japan, on the other hand, was the one place that really wasn't conquered by any other empire, any other European empire. But Japan was trying to isolate itself from the rest of the world. They didn't want any involvement with foreigners. They didn't want any trade with foreigners. So the Americans, what they did was they sent warships into Japan, which basically forced Japan to open up trade with the U.S. But the U.S., even though it was kind of a really, bad thing to do, the U.S. didn't invade or, try to take over Japan. What the U.S. actually ended up doing over time is they sent advisors. So the Americans sent advisors to Japan, military advisors. We sent military advisors to Japan. We helped train the Japanese military. We also helped modernize the Japanese military. We gave them new technology. We gave them Gatling guns. That's how Japan got Gatling guns. They got them from the U.S. We sold Japan Winchester rifles. So we helped modernize Japan's military. We helped them develop their military into a modern fighting force. And so that's one of the reasons that Japan never got conquered, because it developed a modern military. And so a lot of the other European powers, when they wanted to conquer Japan, they decided not to. So the U.S. did help modernize Japan's military. And how did Japan thank us for modernizing their military later on? What did they do to thank us? They attacked us during Pearl Harbor. That was like, how many, 70 years after that? So that was, so we helped modernize Japan's military, and Japan unfortunately used that military for evil later on. What do you think of the police? I support law enforcement. I support law enforcement a lot. Kenijiro, if I'm reading your name correctly. I studied for law enforcement, so I went to school for law enforcement specifically. I never went into law enforcement though. But what I'll say about it is that most law enforcement are good people, good, honest, hardworking people. I don't deny that there's bad cops out there. There's racist, horrible cops, and these cops should be fired or arrested depending on what they did. But the vast majority of police are good people. But the problem is society tries to stereotype all cops, and they try to make all cops look like they're bad people. But that's not true.
To let you know, I got disconnected.
Here, I've seen the Rambo kill count videos a long time ago. Oh, told you in a previous stream that my brother laughs at me for working in retail. Oh, did you? I don't know if you responded to me that last stream. I was trying to find your comment, but everyone starts somewhere, Jack, and don't let people make fun of you. Everyone starts somewhere. Retail is a great first job to build some work experience, but it's not a good job to stay in for very long. So, build some work experience in retail and then eventually try to find another job. But your brother shouldn't be laughing at you for working in retail because you're doing something still. You're working. You have a job. So a job is a job. So it's just, he shouldn't be laughing at you for something like that.
There you go.
So I just let you guys know, I disconnected from the lobby.
Pro, I don't know why so many Americans were drafted to Vietnam in the Vietnam War. Vietnam was not a threat to the U.S. because it was just a poor country of people who live in huts. The Vietnam War, I would say that the Vietnam War, I don't think that I don't think that American intervention in the Vietnam War, if it was voluntary, I don't think that was would have necessarily been a bad thing. But the problem is when you force people to fight in that. Because if the U.S. wanted to fight in Vietnam, they should have used an all-volunteer force. That's what it should have been. It should have been an all-volunteer force. It was just stupid to draft people and force them to fight a war that they knew nothing about, a country they knew nothing about. But it was the South Vietnam at the time was being invaded by North Vietnam because Vietnam was two countries, and South Vietnam was begging the U.S. for help. So the U.S. was kind of put in a difficult position there, but it was very stupid for us to do the draft. We should have never done the draft. If we were going to help in Vietnam, we should have just done an all-volunteer force. It shouldn't have never been a draft. That's what I think was the stupidest thing. But, you know, I'll say that the, do you know what a really stupid thing that the U.S. actually did as a result of the Vietnam War? Do you know what they did? They did something really, really stupid, and, later on. And do you know what the U.S. actually did after the Vietnam War that was actually really stupid? Does anybody know? It actually happened. It happened just a few years after the Vietnam War ended in 1975. Do you know what the U.S. did that was really stupid? It was actually after the Vietnam War. Please make some historical documentaries. I could one day, Jonathan, thank you. But if I'm going to make a historical documentary, I'd rather tail it into a game, tie it into a game. That's what I would rather do. Well, the really stupid thing that the U.S. did after the Vietnam War was arming the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen were the faction that was fighting against the Soviets in the Soviet-Afghan War. That was the stupidest thing that we did after the Vietnam War. That the Soviet-Afghan War actually started 4 years after the Vietnam War ended. It was 1979 to 1989. Now, the reason that was really stupid was because the Mujahideen, we knew nothing about them. We knew very little about them, and a lot of them had links to terrorists. And so we just threw weapons at them. We just gave them all these advanced weapons. We gave them Stinger missiles. And we gave them training, tons of guns, Stinger missiles. And the reason that the U.S. was arming the Mujahideen so badly was because they wanted revenge on the Soviet Union. That was pretty much the main reason. Because the Soviet Union was responsible for a lot of Americans dying in the Vietnam War. They were. The Soviets did have blood on their hands because the Soviets had armed the Viet Cong. They trained the Viet Cong. Soviet advisors went to Vietnam. They trained the Viet Cong. They armed the North Vietnamese army. The North Vietnam was always closer to the Soviet Union than they were to China. The Vietnam never liked China, even though they're both communist countries, because China historically had oppressed Vietnam, and so Vietnam was always closer to the Soviets than they were to the Chinese. And so the Soviets provided the Viet Cong with a lot of training, a lot of weapons, and the Viet Cong used these, weapons to kill a lot of Americans in the Vietnam War. And so what happened was when the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the Americans basically wanted blood. We wanted blood at the time. We wanted revenge. We wanted revenge for everything that the Soviets did in Vietnam. And so we basically fought, if they were going to arm our enemies, we're going to arm their enemies. That was basically our logic. We now realize it was a mistake to do that. But the enemy of your enemy is not always your friend. That's the thing about that. So even though the Soviets were our enemies, the Mujahideen were not our allies. They were not our friends. And so that came to bite us decades later. And then eventually, this led to the Afghanistan war. And the Taliban did not exist at the time, but they're a faction that broke away from the Mujahideen. The Taliban was a part of the Mujahideen, and then after the Soviets left Afghanistan, there was a lot of infighting between the Mujahideen. A lot of different factions were fighting, and the Taliban were the faction that emerged victorious, and they ended up taking over Afghanistan, and now they control Afghanistan again. But these guys have weapons that the Americans gave them in the Soviet-Afghan war, and they're still using these weapons to kill people. And so that was the biggest mistake, is we armed a bunch of people because we didn't think about what these weapons would do down the line. We didn't think about what these weapons would do in the future. The only thing we fought about at the time is we just wanted the Soviets to die. That was pretty much it. We just wanted revenge on the Soviets. We wanted to hurt the Soviets as bad as possible, and because of that, it backfired. It completely backfired, and that was probably one of the stupidest things that our country ever did. It was one of the dumbest things we ever did, was arming the Mujahideen. We shouldn't have done it. It was a massive mistake to do that, and it was that... I'm not a fan of the Soviets by any means, don't get me wrong, but the Mujahideen were not our friends. and it was just a really bad idea to arm them. It was just a really, really, really bad idea, and that's primarily the reason why you don't throw weapons at people, especially if you don't know who they are fully.
So I don't know if you hear me, but I got disconnected up the lobby.
You got disconnected. I'll invite you back, Brandon.
Yeah.
No, we didn't fund it, Mario. Thank you for the super chat. I don't believe in any of the conspiracies either. It was terrorists who did it. But basically, us arming the Taliban, they were able to plan. I don't know if it had a direct. I don't know if it was directly tied. Arming the Taliban directly tied to 9/11, but it did help the Taliban a lot, because when we came into Afghanistan, the Taliban were shooting at us with weapons that we gave them, and so that gave them, a big advantage there. So that's pretty much what I'll say about that. It was just a terrible disaster, and it ended up biting us back in the end. And so the point that I was making is, let me invite you, Brandon. I'm not saying that we caused 9/11 to happen by arming the Mujahideen, but what I'm saying is that by arming them, these same guys who pretended to be our allies turned on us later on, and they were never really our friends. If we had gone over this rationally, they would have the Taliban and Bin Laden would have still attacked us. It still would have happened regardless of whether we armed them or not. They would have still attacked us, but they wouldn't have been as stocked in Afghanistan. They wouldn't have as many weapons in Afghanistan if we hadn't given them weapons during the Soviet-Afghan War. And now, unfortunately, they have even more weapons now because we left even more weapons now behind. So history repeats itself. We did it again. So that's let me go here. I'm gonna check my moonshine business.
Oh.
The thing about this is that I'll say, do you know what the biggest threat to America is actually right now? The country that I think poses the biggest threat to America, I think that China and Russia are definitely very close there. But I personally think the country that poses the largest threat to America right now is Afghanistan. That's what I personally think. And why is Afghanistan such a threat to us right now? The reason that Afghanistan is such a threat is because Afghanistan is controlled by a terrorist organization right now. The Taliban have fully taken over the country. It's a terrorist state, pretty much at this point. It's completely controlled by terrorists. And basically what that means is that when 9/11 happened, the terrorists who planned 9/11, they knew that they could plan 9/11 from Afghanistan, and then they could hide in Afghanistan, and the Afghanistan government would protect them. The Taliban would protect them, which is what they did. They protected Bin Laden and his people. And what happened is, now the exact same thing can tragically happen. Any terrorist organization can go to Afghanistan. Any terrorist organization can go to Afghanistan. They can plan any kind of attack on the U.S., and then what happens is the attackers can then hide in Afghanistan. And the American public doesn't want to go back there. Nobody wants to go back to Afghanistan. Nobody does. Nobody, I don't want to go back there. Nobody wants to go back there. We don't want another 20-year war. And so that's what's so scary about Afghanistan when you think about it, is they could attack us at any time. They could launch terrorist attacks. They could launch terrorist cells and start doing attacks all over America. And then they know that terrorists will be safe in Afghanistan, the ones who planned it out. And we're not able to go back there and get them. And so now that they have American weapons, it will be even scarier to fight them. So nobody wants to go back to Afghanistan, and the Taliban know that. So that's my personal viewpoint, why I think that Afghanistan is such a threat to America right now, because of that. So that's the whole thing on it. Let me get over to a point here. Let's start up another bounty here.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean the people, the whole withdrawal. I try to stay away from politics. I really do. I don't like to comment on it. But the only thing I'll say about this is the withdrawal was a disaster. You know, the people that planned that out, it was an absolute disaster. Anybody who thinks that the Afghanistan withdrawal was a success is an idiot. So that's so I say, but it's a disaster. In a mission Snowstorm from GTA 4, there's something I don't understand. Elizabeth and Jacob were about to kill each other, but at the end, Jacob came unharmed after telling her the bad news. Why? Because I guess Nico got between them, and Nico was gonna fix it. That's why. Let me see here. Do I think that North Korea will change? No. No. I don't think that North Korea is ever gonna unify with South Korea. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I think that here's what people don't understand. What people don't understand is that people compare West and East Germany all the time. And they say, oh, look, East Germany was a communist dictatorship, and then they united with West Germany, and now everything's good. The thing about that is that's totally different. Completely different. You cannot compare West Germany and East Germany to North and South Korea. It's very, very different because, for one, North and South Korea have been separated much longer than East and West Germany were. And on top of that, the society in East Germany and North Korea is completely different. You know, there's one big difference between East Germany and North Korea. And also, for people wondering, East Germany was the North Korea of Europe. That's pretty much what it used to be. East Germany was the worst communist dictatorship in Europe. It was. It was worse than the Soviet Union. It was actually more... East Germany was more brutal and worse than the Soviet Union. It actually was. So the only time the Soviet Union was worse than East Germany was during Stalin. That was the only time the Soviet Union was more oppressive. The Soviet Union was still oppressive, don't get me wrong. But if you look at all of the communist countries in Eastern Europe, well, East Germany was more Central Europe, but still part of the Warsaw Pact. It was the most oppressive one. You know, they had the Stasi, which was the secret police, which out of all the people in East Germany, it was about one-sixth of all East Germans were government informants. So 1/6 of all the people in East Germany were government informants, and East Germany was the most surveilled state in the world. I think it had the most amount of surveillance, so the government was constantly spying on people. But comparing the East Germany and North Korea and East Germany have a lot of similarities. They're both brutal dictatorships. They're both mass surveillance states. A lot of people inform on their neighbors, so people in North Korea constantly rat out their family and their friends. But there's a big difference between East Germany and North Korea. You know what that big difference is? That the North Koreans are starving. East Germans weren't starving. Because people in East Germany were poor, but they were still able to have food. They still had food. My parents had been in East Germany. My parents had visited East Germany several times. My mom took a vacation in East Germany before. And because my mom was from communist Poland, so when she was in her 20s, she took a vacation in East Germany. My father was also visited East Germany before. He took a vacation there as well. Now, East Germany was more oppressive than Poland, but the only thing my parents said about it is they said that it was better stocked than Poland. There was more food in the stores than there was in Poland. So East Germans weren't starving. North Koreans are starving, on the other hand. That's a massive difference between the two. But also, it's that East Germany, it was easier to get into East Germany, and it was easier to get things into East Germany than it is into North Korea. North Korea, they're completely isolated from the outside world. And the thing about this is, my parents when they immigrated to America, most of the people in my family despised communists. I only had one communist in my family, who was my great-grandmother. She was a communist. She was actually a member of the party. She wasn't like a politician or anything like that, but she was very much a communist. She hated America, and she said, horrible things about America all the time. And like when my dad wanted to leave Poland, she told him that he was crazy, and she was saying, what did my dad say? She said that America was like an imperialistic nation or something like that, where the workers are oppressed, or just some other nonsense like that. But anyways, about this is I asked my mom specifically about this too, and I asked her this, and it was something I was very curious about, and this is why I don't think North Korea will ever change. I asked my mom this simple question. I asked her, because Poland was a communist dictatorship. Poland had a lot of censorship. The Polish government would constantly censor stuff and would constantly control the flow of information. So I asked my mom one day, I asked her, how did you know that America was a better place than Poland? How did you know that Poland wasn't a better place to live? Because there's a lot of propaganda, a lot of anti-American propaganda. I've seen a lot of the anti-American Polish propaganda. I've seen it. And I asked my mom, like, how did you know that America was a better place than Poland despite all the propaganda that the Polish government would say? The Polish government would say that America was this horrible, evil place. How did you know that America was a better place to live than Poland? And you know what my mom said? My mom said one simple reason that she knew that America was a better place than Poland. And you know what that was? Movies. That's what she said. She said that the American movies that were smuggled into Poland. She said the American movies that were smuggled into Poland, she said that watching those movies and seeing what America actually looks like, it's like stepping into a different world. It's so much better. Like, life is just so much better. You see big cities in the American movies and stuff like that. And she said that's how she knew when she watched the illegal American movies, that she knew that life in America was much better than it was in Poland, and that the Polish government was all BS. It was all lying about America. So that was, that's how she knew. But that's, people in East Germany knew that too. Like, people in East Germany, they would run to the border and just escape. That's why the East German government built the Berlin Wall, to keep people from running away specifically. But now, when you compare a state like North Korea, not only it has a wall, it has a border that keeps people from leaving. The North Korean and South Korean border is like the most guarded border in the world. It's very hard to escape from the North and South Korean border. The only people who escape from the North and South Korean border are soldiers, North Korean soldiers who run across. And the only reason they got across was because they were stationed there. And so if any North Korean soldier tries to run to the South Korean side, the North Koreans will shoot at them if that happens. It was similar in East Germany, but the people that escape in North Korea, they mostly escape through China. The Chinese-North Korean border is easier to escape from. However, though, it's also risky, because the Chinese have an agreement with the North Koreans that if a North Korean is captured in China, that they're going to be deported back to North Korea, and then that's death. So that's death or possibly being sent to a work camp. But people in the point that I'm getting at when I'm saying all of this stuff is that people in East Germany knew that they lived in an oppressive state. They knew that East Germany was a bad place to live. They knew that. A lot of them knew that. But people in North Korea, there's people in North Korea who figure it out. They know that North Korea is a bad place, but the North Korean government controls the flow of information even worse than the East German government. North Korea has no internet. It has none. It only has government-approved internet with like 5 websites. North Korea has its own smartphones, but those smartphones don't even have internet access. And those smartphones are probably, the government probably listens in to you on that. And so there's barely any kind of information that gets into North Korea. The North Koreans are only told how to think, what to think specifically. And because of that, it's very different than East Germany, because like I was saying, people in East Germany, a lot of them weren't as brainwashed. They knew that life in West Germany and life in other, Western Europe was much better than life in East Germany. But a lot of the North Koreans don't know that. And they actually believe pretty much that their leader is the best leader in the world. And they believe that Kim Jong-un always does everything the best for the people. And they believe that North Korea is like the best state in the world and that everybody wants to live in North Korea. That's North Korean propaganda. A lot of the people believe that stuff. So that's, so even like, I've shown my parents documentaries of North Korea and like what it looks like and stuff like that and how the whole system operates. And my parents have both said to me that even with the communist government in Poland, it was never discontrolling as the North Korean government was. Like, the communist government in Poland was oppressive, but it was nowhere near as oppressive as the North Korean government. So that's why I think that North Korea will never really unify with South Korea. It's and also if the North Korean government was to collapse for some reason and South Korea unified it with North Korea, you would probably have a lot of brainwashed people that would just attack the South Koreans on sight when they would see them. That would probably happen because they would believe that the South Koreans are like imperialists trying to take over their country and they're backed by the Americans and all this. It's just a bunch of North Korean propaganda. So it's just that. It's just unfortunate. People are just so brainwashed in North Korea. Let me look at the comments. I missed a bunch here. I played a lot. I played all the Assassin's Creed games up until Origins. Thank you, JD. Rockstar Games makes me so mad. They have a feedback page they don't address. They don't respond to the community feedback on social media, and they don't fix bugs and glitches. I have no hope for their absolute incompetence. Well, thank you, Revan. Thank you for the super chat. I don't have no faith in Rockstar after the Save Reddit Online failed. I really have no faith in Rockstar anymore. I was still giving Rockstar a benefit of the doubt. I was still pissed, but I was at least hoping that they do something. Do you think the U.S.
I got no favor on that team now.
Do you think the U.S. should lift their sanctions against Cuba? Yes, I do. And the reason I think that the U.S. should lift its sanctions against Cuba is because sanctions don't really do anything. They don't. A lot of people think that sanctions, hurt dictators, but not really, because what sanctions do is sanctions hurt the average person instead of the dictator, and oftentimes the sanctions actually help the dictator. Because do you know what the Cuban government actually does when there's sanctions in Cuba? When you can't get stuff in the stores in Cuba, when things are expensive and Cubans complain, do you know what the government does? The government says, oh, it's the Americans' fault. It's the Americans' fault. It's the reason that everything's so bad. It's the Americans who are doing this. We're trying to help you, but the Americans are being unreasonable. The Americans are imperialists. That's what the Cuban government will say. And so they use that as propaganda against America. The Iranian government does the same thing, too. Whenever there's sanctions on Iran, they'll say, oh, it's all the Americans' fault. The Americans are responsible for you being poor. It's all the Americans' fault. And so people believe this propaganda, and it turns the people in these countries against the U.S. So I personally don't think that sanctions really do anything. I don't think that's that. And a lot of these dictatorships, they will, if they're sanctioned on something, they'll start producing their own thing on it. Oh, I gotta get my controller. It's hold on one second. I gotta get the charger for my controller because it's here. It's dead. Thank you, Dreadnought, for the super chat, by the way.
Oh, his control disconnected. Yeah, I hate when that happens. My control just died out.
Yeah, I got no faith on Red Dead or Rockstar or anything like that now.
Okay, moment here. Sorry, everyone. My controller
That's why
dies at the worst
GZ is
moment
my
ever,
number
too.
one game of all.
Camera's gone too. I'll fix this in 1 second here. Okay, one moment here. Okay, 1 second here. Let me fix this.
Yeah, I was doing the complicated, you always make the zombie noise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, everyone. My controller. I should have charged my controller before the stream. It was my bad. Okay. Let me fix that camera now. I don't know why the camera went out. Mercenaries POD is a great game to play. Oh, I see here.
Playground of Destruction.
Hey, Pro.
Yeah, what's up? Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm gonna fix the camera in just a second here. I'm sorry about this. One moment here. I'm gonna get this fixed. Okay. NVIDIA broadcast, come on. Do Assassin's Creed 3 Continental Patriots American Jaeger look accurate to their real-life counterparts? I would think so. I'd have to look at it again because I haven't seen it in some time. But do you know one thing that a lot of there's a few games and like movies about the Revolutionary War. Do you know what the Revolutionary War movies and the games oftentimes get wrong about the what they oftentimes get wrong about the Patriots when they portray them? The Patriots let's see here, camera. Where's my camera?
I'm talking about the American Revolution.
Yes, the American Revolution is in the American Revolution. Okay, does this fix now? Let's see. Okay, finally fixed it. In the American Revolution, the Americans wore blue a lot of times, but we actually did not have any kind of uniforms a lot of times. People would just wear their civilian clothes in the Revolutionary War. That was common. Thank you, Binded Eagle. Thank you for sponsoring my channel.
What about AMC Turn? Turn Washington Spies.
Turn Washington Spies was pretty good because Turn Washington Spies, when you saw the battles, you saw a lot of the soldiers who were just in civilian clothes. I think that was pretty accurate.
I only saw a little bit of the first season of that show. I should watch it.
Do you know the speed of light per second is 299,792,458 milliseconds? It's the exact same same number as the Great Pyramid scheme. Great Pyramid what? Coordinates. 29,979,000. I don't think that's a coincidence. Aliens built it. I think you're probably joking. Oh, okay, Barnett Eagle. Thank you for sponsoring again. Thank you, Dreadnought Warrior. Well, yeah, North Korea, I don't think will ever, I don't think that North Korea will ever, unify with South Korea.
You're welcome, bro.
Oh, thank you, man. That was you who donated?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's the channel I upload videos on.
Yeah, Dreadnought Warrior. I subscribe to your channel. Yep. In general.
Thanks.
Yeah, I remember. It was like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did the same thing too.
Whose betrayal is bigger, Dimitri or Big Smoke? I think Big Smoke because he was CJ's friend.
Childhood friend, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Why did most of Eastern Europe become communist? Because the Soviet Union forced it on them. The American Jaeger archetype in Assassin's Creed 3 was a somewhat fake fancy uniform with green black colors with Swiss-looking helmet. Very nice. Oh, I'd have to take a look at that then, JD. Thank you for the super chat. Does Kim Jong-un eat American food? Yes. Do you know that there's, in North Korea, the propaganda actually says that Kim Jong-il, his father, actually invented the hamburger?
Invented hamburger?
Yeah, North Korean propaganda actually says that Kim Jong-il invented the hamburger.
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, Kim Jong-il passed away in 2011, I remember.
Yep. I remember when that happened, too.
The whole country was crying about it, I remember.
Do you know what scared me the most about the crying when Kim Jong-il died? What scared me the most is I couldn't tell whether that was forced crying or whether that was actual real crying.
It's actually forced crying.
I can tell it's forced. I can tell.
I don't know. The thing is, there's probably some body language experts that could probably tell whether it was forced or whether it was crying. But honestly, I couldn't tell whether they were actually being serious when they were crying or not, or that they were just forced to.
I can see that some were crying about it, but I can tell that some were forced, actually. Because I know
there's no doubt that people were also forced to cry, but what I'm curious about is how much people were forced crying and how much people were actually crying.
Oh, looks like we got 2 minutes. I think we can make it. But first, we need to get all those spotters. Hopefully, collectibles.
Okay, now it got better with the shotgun.
Oh crap. Ah! Okay, there we go. I was trying to actually, I shall go.
Well, you don't know. North Korean propaganda is very strong, so it's entirely possible there was people that were actually crying.
Not bad. Maybe get...
Well, you know how North Korea is. Oh, thank you, Brandon, for the sub.
Well, found a card. That's why I always check bodies, because you never know what you could find. Why did you tell Zomb not join the party while stream? Oh, thank you, Joe. Oh well, I didn't I didn't want us to interrupt his stream or something like that if we're just all talking and then he's streaming. Thank you for the super chat, Joe.
I heard that.
Prior to what?
Oh, my viewer, Joe, is watching Pat right now.
Oh.
No one plays this game anymore. You just use an excuse to get your ego up. What? What the hell are you talking about? What ego? What ego? I don't. How am I using this game to get my ego up? That makes no sense to me. What? I literally play this game for fun with my friends, like every Friday, and like I stream here and we sometimes talk about random things and people just like hanging out with me on these Friday streams. That's just it. It has nothing to do with ego. I don't. What ego?
Like, I just wanna chill, and plus it's Friday, and yeah, and I just.
It's also to support Red Dead Online, a game that's been abandoned as well in a way. That's what I guess these streams are for too, right?
I mean, I still like playing Red Dead Online, even though Rockstar gave up on this game and makes no content for this game. I still like playing this game, so that's it.
Yep. Yeah, I do the exact same thing for Watch Dogs Legion online every Saturdays as well. It's a game that got abandoned, and I enjoy that game as well too. There's people that still play it, and I play with people as well.
And for another example, Battlefront 2. And a few other,
What is ego? It's basically like thinking that you're smarter and better than everyone. Hey, Pro, what's for dinner? I don't know yet. I gotta see what's in the fridge, what I can make.
Do you remember this line, Pat? We had enough of your ego. My ego has gotten you this far.
My ego has gotten you this far. Oh, that's in Saints Row 2.
Yeah, to Dane Vogel.
Yes, Dane Vogel.
Oh, I heard that before.
That was actually the first time I ever heard that word before. It was actually from Saints Row 2. I never knew what ego was until Saints Row 2.
Both of them are bad, Gunner. The Sandinistas and then the Contras, both of them were bad people. The Sandinistas established a dictatorship in Nicaragua, while the Contras had ties to drug cartels. So they were both bad people.
Hey, Pro, you know which map I would like to see?
What's up?
The new game, like a new a map that will take place. Like if there's a new game about it, like a crime scene game. Miami in the 60s.
I mean, Crime Boss had it in the 90s, but I wouldn't mind the thing is, though, I wouldn't mind if GTA 6 went back to, like, the 80s in Vice City, but the problem is most people aren't going to want to do that.
Well, yeah, I don't mind that, like modern or classics.
Yeah, there would be no more smartphones, of course, if they went back to that, of course, and yeah, there'd be no open up the menu with a smartphone.
Yeah. Like for example, GTA 5. Which,
Yeah,
oh, it's
4 and
this. This
5
is the
what
explosive
introduced the
wagons.
I mean, and GTA 4 is different. It's like
Oh, I didn't expect that to blow up right away. Or whatever.
I saw that.
Yeah, the Badger phone.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Badger phone is based on, Pat?
Android.
The Android.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Android.
I know.
I just saw Pro just exploding in pieces.
I know Nico can get like this new thing on his phone called
But
Wiz.
it helps. It helps his channel whenever you join. Well, I guess he can stream in the parties if he wants, but it's just that I just felt like if we have like 5 or 6 people in the party talking at once, it's hard for him to talk, and it kind of takes away from his streams. But if he wants to stream in these parties, it's perfectly fine. It's up to him. But I thought that it was too much of a distraction personally, but up to him.
Oh, okay, so I'm not banned from actually like streaming.
You never have been banned from streaming in the parties. I just thought that too many people talking at once would just not be good for your streams. But it's up to you.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're born in the 1800s in USA, what would you be? I can't even move this wagon here. Will I watch King Charles' coronation? No, I'm not. I'm an American. It just is not. He's not my monarch. I don't even have a monarch, but. Thank you, Glover, for the super chat.
That's definitely for Trio and Sebi. My country's monarchy, though. Canada.
I'm just gonna wait for a time for extra cash.
I usually just, if there was multiple ones, I usually just deliver one and keep the other one
I can't move
down.
this wagon.
Yeah,
That's what I usually do.
Yeah, I can't move it.
I would like to see Miami took place in the 60s. I don't mind the 90s. I like not the 90s, the 80s. Yeah, I like the 80s, not 90s.
Thank you, Lieutenant Touchdown. Thank you for the super chat.
Hey, bro, you know that mission in Mafia 1 Definite Edition? And the racing mission?
I'll do a poker on this stream. Yes, I remember the racing mission. What about it?
Yeah, it took me a first try to do it. First try.
In the original game, it's a lot harder. That race.
I could do that one try. Because I am an experienced racer.
No, I'm not jealous of anything, Clint. I just we would have these parties sometimes have like 10 people in them like talking at once, and I just personally felt like that was very distracting to Zomb. That was pretty much what that was about. I hope you got a.
I guess if it's only 4 people, it's fine.
Did Mikhail Faustron's Mafia stood a chance against Petrovic? Petrovic? No, I think that Petrovic would have won. A grocery haul video? What do you mean by that? The next Just Cause game? The next Just Cause game, I'd like to see them do like an Eastern European country in the next Just Cause game, like a fictional Eastern European country, because they did the Mediterranean, they did South America, they did Central America, they did Asia, before East Asia. I'd like to see them do like a fictional Eastern European country, like some former like Soviet like dictatorship, something like that. I'd like to see that in like the next Just Cause game. Like maybe they could do like a country like Belarus. Like maybe they could do that. In the next Just Cause game.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I want to see Eastern Europe for Just Cause as well. That's why I gave Rico Rodriguez the nickname of Rikolai Rodrikovsky.
There's a bounty NPC can threaten me all he wants.
If Julius Little and Dutch were built a gang together, which one would be most likely to betray the other? I think that Julius would betray Dutch first.
Just like old times, player.
He would think that he would probably think that Dutch was getting out of control. At retail, did you ever get a raise? I did, but the raises oftentimes were garbage. They were so insignificant. They were just stupid. I had gotten a raise. Let me think right now.
What the heck? That's a weird glitch.
My
I don't know what
first-
just happened.
My first raise that I ever got in retail for the entire year. Do you know what that was? It was 18 cents. That's what it was. 18 cents. So that means that after 5 hours of working, I'd basically make a little bit under $1 extra. That's pretty much what it was. It was an 18-cent raise. That was what my raise was, because I started out at $8.50, and then I went to $8.68, which was...
That's bloody rubbish.
Dang, I was stuck for a second.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, Brandon.
Guess what? This May 13th, it's gonna be 3 years since when we last played Generous and Zero together.
Oh, okay, right, because I streamed it in 2020 sometime.
Yeah.
And then Brendan was playing some Dying Light 2 with me as well.
Yeah, I almost got 100% on Dying Light 1, actually.
Oh yeah, I
Hey,
would have
Carl,
played
wanna play
Triad Wars
catch?
if that came out. A guy gave me a
Carl,
tip of
catch.
6 cents once for delivering his pizza. What?
I was just messing with bro.
Okay, no, I know, but kind of scumbag does that? Gives 6 cents for a... Make a video on what kind of groceries you buy and like, it'll, I think that'll probably be a very boring video, a very out of place video.
Oh, Brandon, I thought you were a pro. Hey, Brandon, catch.
How's the hunting going, General? Did you go or not yet?
Oh, no, yeah, well, I just came in, my hunting license.
Oh.
Well, probably around
I had a
Sunday
job where
or
they paid new people
Saturday.
more than people there for years. They acted like I was lucky when they matched their pay for me. I know exactly what you're talking about, big boy. That the same thing happened at my job. It was new people would oftentimes get paid the same as people that worked there for years, and it was completely unfair that people would work there for years.
Heads up. Imagine there's a game mode. It's like a hot potato, but it's like in TNT.
Catch it.
That'll be so fun. Hey, Brandon, catch. Oh. Alright, this time will be different. Alright, this time I'll try not to go near that horse.
Okay, let's see here.
Actually, hold on.
You'll name your horses? Nah, I never really bothered to.
Yeah, I only called my horse Zonfected. That's pretty much it. I didn't really give it a name either. I just named it after
I
me.
paint for a
pretty
living. Oh, okay.
My horse's name is...
Do you enjoy what you do, Jacob?
Actually, I'll rather not say it because I'll probably make it cancel for no reason. Whoa.
Well, I can't stand my supervisors, Isaiah, but I never really... I don't really think of them in that way, though, but it was, some of my supervisors were massive scumbags, but...
Scumbos.
I mean, I do videos on stuff that isn't games all the time, Jazzy. I mean, I do the crazy current event videos. I have gameplay in the background, to be fair, but I talk about things that have nothing to do with video games. I actually am going to be making a another crazy current events video very soon. But do you guys know the International Red Cross actually told players to stop committing war crimes on Call of Duty and Fortnite? I'm not joking. So the International Red Cross told people to stop. They told people to stop committing war crimes
damn.
on Call of Duty and
I'm about to.
Fortnite, and I'm gonna have a video coming up on that.
Yeah, Fortnite doesn't even really have many war crimes in it.
Yeah, I don't know what Red Cross is thinking.
I don't know if any, honestly, I don't know of any video game that lets you commit war crimes. I don't know of any video game that lets you do something like that. And most of the time when you play war games, you're fighting against the people who commit war crimes.
Yeah. What about Mercenaries though?
I mean, Mercenaries is one game, but Mercenaries, it's just, I mean, just run around and just destroy everything. That's just pretty much what you do in the Mercenaries games.
Hey, Genoa, catch.
Yeah. Ah!
You can
Ouch.
attack.
Oh,
You can
crap.
attack civilians in Mercenaries.
Yeah, but you got heavily penalized for it.
Yeet.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to pay off the news. That's basically what happens.
Oh,
Well, the
crap,
only
that's
faction that would
exactly-
never get pissed off at you for killing civilians and mercenaries was the Russian
shooting.
Mafia.
Oh, shooting. Oh, crap. I killed the wrong PC.
What
Oh,
happened,
crap.
Hayden?
My bad. Okay, I meant to do this. Gotcha.
The man who gets beat down isn't a loser. The guy who can't toughen it out to the end, he is the one who loses. Kuze from Yakuza 0. I have to play the Yakuza games one day, George.
I just missed on purpose.
I gotta try playing those Yakuza games one day. Maybe I'll play some poker right now. You guys requested it earlier.
Oh, crap. I got it. Well, I made a run.
Is Yakuza similar to Sleeping Dogs a little bit?
They're trying to catch. Oh, crap. Oh, rest in peace, me.
Yes, I did,
I couldn't
Isaiah.
good one. Yeah.
Alright, that'll work. That works.
What's wrong, Hayden? How are you so good at poker in this game? I'm okay. I'm not the greatest at poker. Sometimes I get really lucky.
I don't even know how to play poker. I just click call, raise, whatever. That's what I do.
I mean, I did okay, to be honest. Wow. Well, I did got a few lots. Let's see, what can we else try? Oh, yeah. Catch.
Okay, I'm gonna go in game chat here. How is GTA 4 so dark? Well, GTA 4, they wanted to go for the realism, and that's one of the reasons they chose such a dark storyline for it. Story mode poker is easy. You just bet max and they all mostly fold. Yep. Speaking of poker, why do you have to wait till like half an hour to get more chips in GTA 5 online? It made me so mad. Yeah, I guess that's so people can argue that they're encouraging gambling because they set limits. Do you see my super chat? Oh, I'm sorry, Mario. Let me take a look. Thank you, Lieutenant Touchdown. Oh, in fact, Speaker, if you're born in the 1800s, what would you be? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably be working in a factory, honestly. What did you say, Mario? I scrolled up here. I didn't see your super chat. What did you say? Is it safe to store my gaming consoles in a closet? If your closet has ventilation, but like if you have your if is your gaming console off and in the closet, then it's fine. It's no problem. But if it's just if it's on and it's like it's in a place where no air is getting out of it, that's a very bad place. It's gonna get overheated and possibly worse. So don't do that. Oh, the Cuban thing. Let me see here. Oh, yes, I know about that. The people in Cuba still drive really old cars. It's been doing good, Isaiah. Hey, Pro, I liked your lore video made about Kenny Petrovich. I've seen your Sleeping Dogs gameplay, and it helped me a lot. The main game plus the DLC. Thanks, bro. You're amazing. And why Claude from GTA is evil. I have a video coming up on Claude that I'm gonna be making. I was in the mall and there was a Karen complaining that her ice cream was too cold. What? That's stupid. Oh, I actually might get a flush here. Look at this. I just need one more heart. Just one more heart, please. Yes, I'll finish the Saints Row 3 DLCs when I have the time. Damn. I just need a heart. That's all I need is just a heart. I'm gonna bet this. I'm gonna get a heart. Please give me a heart. Please, please give me a heart. No, it's not a heart. But I do have an 8. No, I'm okay, Fernando. It was just a long trip that I had. But thank you for the super chat. Okay, I'm going into max bet here. Let's see if anybody folds. Okay, let's see. What do we got? I win, yes. Nice. There we go. Oh, he rage quit. Yeah, he rage quit. I'm getting more I'm first place right now, the most money. I would like to add blackjack to the online in this game. In real life lore videos, yes, I want to make one on I want to make a lore video on what is it? On a few more places in New York for GTA 4. 10 and the Queen, not bad. Hello, Boba Fett. Hello, Ghostface Gaming. He's taking long there. Oh yeah, Liar's Dice. I remember that in the first Red Dead game. That was awesome. Okay, one person's out there. Okay, Jacob. See you. Take care, man. Oh. He's not doing too well either way. He's probably gonna fold. Oh, he went in. Going two then. Ooh. Oh, yeah, he's got really good cards there. Why did he go in with a 10 and a 4? What? Oh, it was the jacks? Oh, man, wow. Wow. Okay, the guy with the 2 kings has to be pissed. Wow. Now he was lucky. My uncle won over 10,000 in the hand of poker once, so please tell me don't he stopped playing after that and he just took his earnings and left. But congratulations to your uncle. These are pretty good cards. Do you plan on playing GTA The Lost and Damned online someday? Yes, I would like to do a video stream on that too. Let me look ready. I'm sorry. Pro, you need to learn about Albania during World War I, World War II, and Cold War. Fun fact, 12 people from the AAF, Albanian Armed Forces, fought in the Vietnam War, helped the communists. Oh, I didn't know about that, Gretty. What's your dream car? Thank you, Fact. I mean, honestly, I think the car that I have right now is really my dream. I've had this BMW car since, like, 2017. It's a 328i. It's a sedan. It's not, like, a super special car, but it's, like, a car that I like. 3 and a 7. Let's see here. What I got? Oh, damn. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you, Fact, for that super chat. Have I seen Narcos? No, I've never watched it. I've seen some of his videos, Me Rising. I imagine if a BMW M3R GTR from Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005. Well, I don't know that car. It's probably some crazy sports car, isn't it? I just love how you beat that guy with a pineapple. Thank you. That was the gym mission. It was hilarious. No, I haven't gone on vacation in like a decade. I fly to New York. Hello, Vexro? No, I don't have any mods. It's just what it is. Let's see here. Oh, I actually have... Oh, come on, don't fold. There we go. Wow, I can't... Okay. Okay. Is Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed the same universe? Yes, it is. And do you know what else is the same universe? Is Hitman and Kane and Lynch. No, I don't really talk to people on the planes. I usually sleep when I'm flying. Nothing good here. Yes, Kane and Lynch is in the same universe as Hitman. A lot of people don't know that. Do you know that the exact same time that Kane and Lynch actually break out of jail, when they're in that prison, prison truck, that exact same time 47 is actually in Las Vegas at that exact same time. And do you know what he's there for? He's there to kill the sheikh, the guy in the casino he kills. I think he's from Saudi Arabia, and then he kills that scientist and the other guy. Pair of sixes. Okay, let's see. Knew it. Okay, yeah, they fold a lot. I can take advantage of that. I don't know. I think it's a glitch. I think it's a glitch why the sound is like that right now. Why are people wearing, like, weird, like, animal pelts on their heads right here and bandanas? Okay, come on. Let's see what we got here. The Pyrocynical video on Kane and Lynch 2? No. No, I haven't. What is that, Tree? If I ever received $20 million, what would you do with it? $20 million? What I would do is I would, if I had $20 million, what would I do with it? I would take at least half of that money, the $10 million. And what I would do is I would put that $10 million into buying, like, properties, a bunch of properties. So I'd buy a bunch of small houses. And what I would do is I would make all of those houses rental properties and just start collecting passive income from it. I would take $2 million, and the $2 million I probably would donate to some local orphanage, something in my area that needs help. Because yeah, I'd probably do that. Because I don't need that much money, honestly. And then the rest of the money, it would be $8 million left. I would buy myself a really nice house that I like. And then the rest of that money, probably be a few $1,000,000 left over. I'd put that into a high-yield savings account, like a savings account that gives you, like, a really high percentage back. So that's what I would do. You really are a professional. Thank you. You're kind, pro. Well, thank you. Folding. I have nothing good here. You're too damn kind for this world. Well, thank you, Mr. Waifu. I personally think that, like, the thing is, though, is, like, people are too obsessed with money. I know that money, you know, you need it to, you know, to buy groceries, pay bills. I get that. But the thing is, though, is that, you know, if I had a few $1 million, just a few $1 million, I'd be happy with that for the rest of my life. You know, I don't need like $100 million or like $20 million or you know, something like that. If I just had a few $1 million, just be happy plainly with that. So it's so I you know, I don't understand these, like, when I look at these large corporations, right? I see these large companies and I see how they try to cut so many corners and just try to save every single penny. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, even if they could give their workers like a decent wage, and they try to just cut corners on the stupidest things ever, and just so they could save more money. And like, these guys are already like millionaires, $100 million in their bank account. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, what do you need all that money for? Like, you know, you can't even, you could even spend all that money if you wanted to, unless you're doing something really stupid. So it's like, so, you know, why do you need all of that money? Why? It's I'm gonna fold here, nothing good again. But that's what I do, is I run a rental property in real life, and I want to buy a second rental property this year. I save up my money, I work hard, and, you know, I want to invest in another rental property. And, you know, it's a way for me to build passive income. And, you know, one day I hope to be a millionaire, but I don't, you know, I'm not that type of guy that, like, wants to have, like, $100 million or something like that. I think that that's ridiculous. Like I said, I'd be happy with just a few $1 million for the rest of my life. That'd be good enough for me. That's, okay, let's see here. Next game after Sopranos, and after the Sopranos is finished, we will be doing Hitman Freelancer and Canon Lynch 2. YouTube is my full-time job. Yes, SOCOM 2 will be this year, Gretty. I might even do it soon. Tell you what, Gretty. In June, we'll do SOCOM. In June, we'll do SOCOM. That's the month we'll do SOCOM 2. Because SOCOM 2, one part of the first act of SOCOM 2 takes place in Albania. And I know you're from Albania, so you wanted to see that part in the game. Folding again, nothing good. What do I think about King Charles's coronation? Honestly, I really don't care. Honestly, that's my view on it. If I was British, I probably would care. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm an American. We don't have a monarchy. We got rid of our monarchy. So it's so for me, it's just I have nothing against King Charles, nor do I have anything against the royal family, but I just don't care for it personally. It's just not for me, and I don't see why I should care. You know, I'm not trying to be rude when I'm saying that. It's just my view. I just don't I just don't see why I should care about it personally. Medal of Honor Frontline will be in June. It will be in June, but I'm gonna do SOCOM 2. I'll do that also. Oh, wow, look at these. You see these cards? Wow. Oh, come on. Ace or a jack. Ace or a jack. Come on. Damn. You went in with those cards? If he has a pair, I'm done. Oh, wait, no. It's just those twos, but... Ah! It's the queen. He got that. If he didn't get the queen, I would have won that pot. My chat is so diverse. I have people from so many different countries that like stop in. Like I have people from the UK in this chat. I have one person from Albania. I have a bunch of people from the US. I have Canadians in the same chat right now. So I do recognize a lot of names. Oh, and I have one guy from Australia in the chat too. I forgot about that. Thanks, bro. You're the most amazing YouTuber I can watch. I'm proud that me and my friend, the Mobinator, will support you. I'll tell you what, I might invite you as a guest in my 1-year anniversary. Okay. Thank you, Gretty, for the support. Oh, you're from Argentina, Alejandro. Well, I haven't met anybody from Argentina yet. Hello. Oh, you're in Saudi Arabia. Well, hello, Moody. Okay, let's see here. This is gonna be my last hand. I lost a bunch of money here, but there's 3 queens there. There can only be 1 queen left on the... Oh, he had the 3 9s. If he didn't have that 9, I would have won. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I'm leaving here. That sucked. Thank you, Aqualeles, for subscribing to my channel. If I pronounce your name correctly. What country are viewers mostly from? The United States. Landon Ricketts. Oh, he was a pretty interesting character. I was thinking he'd make an appearance in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I don't think he did. He's mentioned by Valentine Sheriff. Oh. He was Carter? Oh. I'm an agnostic tree. Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear about that, Isaiah. Are you gonna forgive Rockstar for the bad things when GTA 6 releases? No, I'm still gonna remember the bad things they did, like abandoning this game. But I guess we'll probably wrap up the stream here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me on the stream today. It does mean a lot to me. We had a lot of viewers today on the stream today. Did pretty good. Sorry that I started the stream kind of late. I apologize for that. I was busy just earlier. Had something really important to do. But thank you guys for thank you guys for watching my stream, and thank you for hanging out with me. I'm gonna make some dinner right now because I'm hungry. And this weekend I will have a lore video on GTA 4 this weekend. So there will be another GTA 4 lore video. It's gonna be a short one, but it's gonna be an interesting one. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.